Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and today we're going to be checking out all of the locations that we can find in the Fallout Season 2 teaser trailer. Now this trailer actually came out just about 2 months ago, and we're about 2 months away from the release of Fallout Season 2, so we're right smack dab in the middle. Now I wanted to make this video earlier, but just due to things going on in my life and just being busy, this is it now. But hey, you know what they say, better late than never. So let's go ahead and check it out. We'll be breaking down the trailer, checking out locations that we can find, and also speculating about some of the characters, locations, etc. So sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy. So in the opening shot of the trailer, we can see Lucy and the ghoul, also known as Cooper Howard, just kind of walking through what appears to be some kind of lake bed or just walking through the desert. So there's two locations that I thought this could definitely be, and the one I would put my money on would be the El Dorado Dry Lake. This is a large dry lake right before you get to the 188 trading post, and a lot of players would pass it on their way to Boulder City and towards New Vegas. So it's a pretty iconic little area. Inside of the actual lake bed, there are a ton of these giant fire ants, so just make sure you kill them if you come here. Off in the distance also is Helios 1. I have no idea if Helios 1 obviously will play a role in the TV show, but Helios 1 is pretty important, at least for the game story. Now, in the trailer scene, you do see some mountains in the back, and I figured this could easily be Black Mountain and stuff off in the distance. Now, alternatively, it could be Ivanpah Dry Lake, which is just south of Prim. Again, this is a kind of valley surrounded by mountains on all sides. You have the Mesquite Mountains off in the distance, and you have another mountain range that kind of divides the map in half. And this kind of would be the area that they would come from Las Vegas. If they do go to the 188 trading post and go to El Dorado, that means they'd be taking some kind of detour, because the fastest way from LA to New Vegas is along Interstate 15, which is where the NCR outpost is, but that also passes through Quarry Junction, which might still be very dangerous. Obviously, we don't really know what it would be like in, over 10 years, but so we'll have to wait for the TV show, but just wanted to point out, Ivanpah could be another location. Now, in the next shot, we have a shot of Lucy and Cooper talking to some woman, and the woman is questioning Lucy about her relationship, and is the person she looking for someone that she hates or someone that she loves? But that doesn't really matter at this point. There is a lot of speculation that this is taking place at the 188 trading post, just because of its location. Now, we don't know who she is talking to, but some people suggest that it might be Cass, it might be Veronica, perhaps it is Michelle here, perhaps she's still alive. There's also an arms dealer here, which I'll show, that kind of has that rusty woman voice. That also could be it. But yeah, it could easily be the 188 trading post. Obviously, this is a very common place to go as you make your way to New Vegas in the post-apocalypse. Here's the arms merchant I mentioned earlier. However, I highly doubt if they do kind of have an Easter egg or just a character from the game, I highly doubt it would be someone as minor as that, so perhaps it will be Veronica or Cass. Now also, I want to mention it could possibly be Nipton Road Pit Stop. The only reason I say this is because the building behind Lucy is completely destroyed, and the only thing left is a small window. And this area, Nipton Rest Stop, kind of features a similar situation where we have so many buildings that are completely destroyed. I'm not a big fan of this idea, but just something I thought I would point out. Now in the next shot, we have Lucy and the ghoul walking towards Las Vegas, and we get this shot of Las Vegas and from 50 miles. Obviously a road sign saying we still have 50 miles to go to Las Vegas. Now I did some research on the internet to figure out where this might be. Prim is about 42 miles from Las Vegas, and then Searchlight is actually a very convenient 51 miles from Las Vegas. So the sign could be down in either of these areas. Now, in real life, I suspect that Searchlight is actually further than 50 miles, simply just because the road is not perfectly straight, and the same goes for Prim. So Prim could easily be about 50 miles. Now I wanted to see if I could locate this sign somewhere along the road, so I walked the entire length of Highway 95, but unfortunately I was unable to find any signs at all that point to Las Vegas. We do have road signs, but they're completely deteriorated, so we cannot read them or know what they used to say, but perhaps that little area there is where 50 miles was, or if we keep on moving, along the Highway 95. Eventually, we will find another area with some road signs, and one of these road signs actually has some writing on it, but it's just graffiti. It says, "I feel fine." Quite unfortunate. So yeah, just like the other one, all of these like little road sign areas where typically it would be giving you directions and how far you still have to go are completely destroyed. And then we come up on Novac. Now we also have to mention that these are two different mediums to present their product, right? So in the TV show, the sign could easily be 50 miles, and it could be that shot where Lucy and the Ghoul really are. Perhaps it's in the same scene, but obviously that isn't very realistic, because if you're that close to Las Vegas and you can see it, well, you're much closer than 50 miles. Now, I want all the way to the Grab and Gulp rest stop here, but yeah, unfortunately, this sign too was buried underneath the ground, so we cannot read it. Now, I decided to also go along Interstate 15, and this is where I found the only road sign along the highway, but unfortunately, this one does not have miles on it. Also, Sergeant McGee was out here in the middle of nowhere in Jean for whatever reason. Don't know why. But there is a road sign here that points us towards Jean, where we are now, towards Prim, and towards Las Vegas. Now, if we follow Interstate 15, we'll have a lot of powder gangers. We'll have to go through Quarry Junction. But I just wanted to see if I could find any other road signs. But just like Highway 95, all of the road signs appear to be deteriorated. So it's kind of unfortunate. We cannot locate this area. Now, back to the trailer, back to this shot. We see Lucy and the Ghoul. Ghoul is talking to Lucy, at least, kind of like monologue. And the two of them are standing by this rock, and then as the shot kind of pans out, we can see New Vegas off in the distance. Now, there's a couple interesting things going on here. The first is on the left part of the screen. We can see what I believe is Interstate 15. It's kind of elevated, just like it is in the game, but it appears much longer to be like elevated. In the game, part of it actually kind of goes into the ground and then becomes elevated. Now, additionally, there is a giant canyon in front of Las Vegas. There's a lot of speculation about this canyon because obviously this does not exist in game and does not exist in real life. Now, perhaps tunnelers created the canyon, but that is just speculation by fans. Who knows? Now, as far as this location, I do believe they are south of Las Vegas, as do most people. Maybe somewhere near 188 Trading Post, near Repcon HQ, or near the Junction 15 railway station. I kind of think it's in between Junction 15 and Repcon HQ, just because we have some of these rocks that are similar to the trailer. Off in the distance, we can see Interstate 15 and the beginning of New Vegas, and then we can obviously see New Vegas off in the distance. So I think this area actually pretty much matches where they are. Perhaps they're somewhere a little bit higher up on Black Mountain because they have that elevated view. Now, in the next shot, we can see pre-war New Vegas, which is really exciting because I'm really excited to see what Las Vegas was like in the Fallout universe. But in this area, obviously, they are at the Lucky 38. They're driving up to it, Cooper and his wife. And we just get to see Las Vegas in all of its glory before the war. Now, we will be talking about the Lucky 38 more in this video. Now, in the next shot, we have Lucy waking up in what I think is a vault. We have this giddy-up Buttercup pony off in the corner. We always see this advertised in Fallout. And then also we have this kind of farm background in the back of the room. Now, obviously, the vaults in the TV show appear to kind of have this farming Nebraska aesthetic. And inside Vault 22, the closest thing I could find to any kind of like farm or nature setting was this family playing baseball with a vault beneath them, like a little poster. But besides that, Vault 22 is actually a casino in New Vegas, although unfortunately we cannot gamble inside the vault. Now, Vault 22 was obviously a vault on the Strip, and the little experiment within this vault were all major decisions were decided by gambling, by playing blackjack. So kind of interesting. Now, I also wanted to mention that in the trailer, the carpet has this kind of like nucleus design kind of thing, kind of typical of the 1950s. But you can also see this design in the tops. So perhaps this part takes place in the tops, but because of the aesthetic of the room, I really think it's probably a vault. And we'll talk more about why I suspect Vault 22 later, but it's worth noting that all of the vaults in New Vegas, the video game, are pretty decrepit except for Vault 22. Now in the next scene, we get to see Victor. So Victor is coming back. Now in the background we can see some NCR stuff like this NCR flag, and also appears there's some NCR propaganda on the wall here, perhaps an NCR Ranger or something like that. And then we have Cooper just standing in the back. Don't know if Cooper and Victor already know each other, who knows, and it's kind of hard to tell where this is, but I do find the fact that it has spotlights kind of interesting. And if you go to the Camp McCarran airport, or, just Camp McCarran, we can find a lot of NCR propaganda spread around the concourse. So I just thought it was kind of interesting to point out. Also, at sections, the lighting coming through the windows actually looks kind of similar to the lighting in the trailer. Now, I think this is a pretty small observation, but the fact that there are spotlights, to me at least, highlights that perhaps it's some kind of prospector camp, but with the NCR propaganda, perhaps it's an old NCR base, such as the Mojave Outpost or Camp McCarran. And then in the next scene, we can see Mr. House's big terminal, and we can see Mr. House himself. Obviously, this is the pre-war era, and I just have to say, Mr. House, I think, looks pretty good. He's being played by Justin Theroux, who I think is a pretty good actor and good choice for Mr. House. Now, if we go to the real-life, obviously, terminal where Mr. House is now a computer, or, he's using the computer to communicate because his body's in, a life pod. But anyways, we can actually find the bookshelf that we see in the trailer with a bunch of pre-war books and a globe on it. Not as glorious as in the TV show, but just a really cool attention to detail. Now, in the next area, we can see the Brotherhood of Steel. We have one of these large airships and a Vertibird. And then off in the distance, we can see a camp. Now, if you actually zoom in, you can see that these hangars say Area 51. So we know where this is. And unfortunately, Area 51 is not in New Vegas. Even though Area 51 is near Las Vegas in real life, well, the creators did not add it to the game, which I always thought was really surprising, given the alien and kind of crazy nature, or, just image of Area 51. Anyways, I wanted to show off, though, there is Hidden Bunker. Don't know if this will have any influence or impact on the show, but this is where the Brotherhood of Steel is, obviously, in the video game. Now, in the next part of the trailer, we get two very quick shots of the Legion. One, Lucy appears to have been captured by the Legion. Another one appears to show the leader of the Legion. Now, I don't know if this is Caesar himself, or probably, I would think, a new leader. Now, I just wanted to go ahead and show, though, of course, we can go to the fort, and we can see the Legion in, well, all of their glory, and, well, slaves. But the Legion is obviously very powerful in the game, and it appears that they are still kicking it. Now here, Caesar is dead. Now, obviously, in the game, Caesar will die of cancer unless you will cure him with, the appropriate medical equipment. But here is the throne, which is somewhat similar to the throne we see in the trailer. I just want to put out my name. Perhaps Marvin Montgomery could, be a leader of the Legion as well. But I am very excited to see what they do with the Legion and what has become of the Legion. Of course, with Caesar dying, many people speculate the Legion would fall apart, but perhaps they get another good leader that can help it stick together. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about Macaulay Culkin because he posted this video to his Instagram, and as several fans have pointed out, the back of this person's head appears to be similar to Macaulay Culkin. Now, Macaulay Culkin is confirmed to be in Fallout Season 2, but we don't know what role he is playing. Of course, Macaulay Culkin is most famous for his role in Home Alone, and obviously he's an adult now. That was almost 30 years ago, but Macaulay Culkin is reportedly a huge fan of Fallout, and it was his dream to play a role in Fallout. I think it makes sense if this kid becomes the leader of, well, a killing psychopathic slave-based society. I mean, did you see what he did in those movies? Now, moving on to the next shot of the trailer, we have Cooper killing somebody, and in the background we can see somebody in the Novac dinosaur, and this is probably, well, Lucy, just because we know later in the trailer. I just wanted to go ahead and show off parts of Novac, and we'll talk about Novac a little bit later, but obviously Novac is probably very well known to most players. If you didn't know, the reason it's called Novac is because the motel here says no vacancy. We actually don't know the name of this town during the pre-war era, and fun fact, this town does not exist in real life. Several of the towns in Fallout New Vegas are real-life towns, but in real life there is nothing here. Now, in the next parts of the trailer, we get a shot with Cooper's wife at Vault-Tec headquarters, probably in Los Angeles, and then a shot of Cooper hugging his daughter, and he's looking up at a billboard and a Vertibird. Again, I'm assuming this is probably Los Angeles, so we probably can't find it in the game. Now, in the next part, we can see Cooper at the Lucky 38, kind of riding around on a nuclear missile, which is, kind of symbolic, kind of like a mechanical bull. Now, unfortunately, we cannot go to many parts of the Lucky 38. There is a casino on the ground floor, but since House doesn't allow anyone into the casino anymore, well, it's kind of devoid of life. It's kind of like a haunting place, honestly. At least I think it is. But there are several doors in the Lucky 38 that are inaccessible. So there might be that missile in another part of the hotel that we just can't access. Now, in the next part of the trailer, we have what I think is actually two Brotherhood of Steel guys fighting off maybe some ghouls. I have no clue where this is. Originally, I thought this was Hank, but now that I see that there's two of them, I'm pretty sure it's actually Brotherhood of Steel. And we can see that again, that they're fighting something, and if we pause it at the very next kind of shot, we see what I think is maybe a ghoul. Perhaps it's an NCR ghoul or something like that, but obviously I'm not for sure. Then it switches to a shot of Hank, and Hank is looking up at some kind of vault tech facility. It is very large, and I have no clue what that is, obviously. But I do want to speculate that perhaps this is in Vault 22, and perhaps that is why Hank is making his way to the New Vegas Strip, or at least New Vegas in general, because Vault 22 has something interesting about it. In a blackjack deal, Mr. House and the residents of Vault 22 agreed to open up Vault 22 and they could turn it into a casino. So that's how it operates in the game. However, there was something that Mr. House did not like about this vault because he sealed off large sections of it and filled up parts of it with concrete. So it appears that there is something inside this vault, perhaps something that Mr. House is afraid of or wanted to get rid of, and maybe he wasn't successful. Who knows? But I just wanted to point out that that's what this shot could be. In the next shot, we have Maximus and maybe a new friend with the Brotherhood of Steel flying a Vertibird. So I want to point out in game, obviously we have a crashed Vertibird. If you want to get up close and personal with Vertibirds, you can do so. This appears to be an old Enclave Vertibird maybe, just because of the insignia on the tail. Additionally, you can see President Kimball's Vertibird later in the game during the mission Arizona Killer. But if you don't want to do that mission, you can just go to the southern part of the map. Now, in the next scene, we have shots of what appears to be a snowy place. Originally, I thought this might be Mount Charleston. However, in the very next scene, we can actually see a very young, not ghoulified Cooper Howard. So I'm pretty sure this is actually in Alaska during Operation Anchorage. Obviously, Cooper fought in Operation Anchorage. This is where he got a lot of his combat experience and kind of his hatred towards, the power armor models just because they had a designed weakness. But obviously in Fallout 3, we can actually play Operation Anchorage and experience, well, perhaps a propagandized version of it, but nonetheless, we can kind of experience what Cooper would have gone through. And in the next scene, I'm going to slow this down because it's so fast, but if we slow it down, we can see what I think is actually Cooper Howard grabbing a grenade off another person. The reason I suspect it's Cooper because it looks like his gloves. In the very next scene, we have an exploding body at the Novac Motel. So that is why I suspect it is Cooper. I wanted to point out, though, in the game, the Novac Motel does not have a swimming pool, but in the TV show it does. Additionally, the direction of the T-Rex, the dinosaur, has been changed. In the game, it faces towards the southeast, towards the east, towards the Legion, whereas in the game, it faces towards Novac, kind of facing towards the hotel. Now, I don't really think this is a big change, and it might just have purpose towards the story of the TV show. And again, the creators of each will take their own creative liberties, which I'm fine with, right? This is kind of just a different medium to tell a different story, but obviously it's taking place within the same sandbox as New Vegas, and I hope New Vegas does have an impact on the direction of the TV show. That would just be really cool. And then in the next scene, we can see the snake oil salesman from Season 1, and yes, that literally is his name, at least on IMDb, is Snake Oil Salesman, talking about luck, and he appears right in front of a Lucky 38 billboard. And there's two of these that I know of in the game. There's one by the Grub and Gulp rest stop, and then there's another one near Quarry Junction. So it is obviously a reference to luck. Don't really know where he is, but obviously somewhere around New Vegas just because we have the Lucky 38. Now, the next scene is so fast, it features Cooper being thrown out of a window, the Atomic Wrangler casino being thrown out of a window there. Obviously, the Atomic Wrangler is a very prominent casino in Freeside. In fact, it's the only casino in Freeside that we can visit. But here's the Atomic Wrangler and perhaps the window that Cooper gets thrown out of. So look forward to seeing that. Additionally, in this shot, we can actually see a snack or just food merchant on the street here. This is kind of another common sight in Freeside. Obviously, Freeside is very poor. And if we go up over here, we can find Gennaro, and he is just selling kind of random street food, like squirrel on a stick, radroach meat, and squirrel bits. Man, that is so appetizing. Anyways, in the next part of the trailer, we have several scenes very fast. We have a scene with the Brotherhood of Steel being attacked. One of their blimps is crashing. Who knows who's attacking him? Perhaps it's NCR. Perhaps it is the Enclave and Hank, but hard to say really, but we have a really cool shot for the trailer. Next we have what is probably Vault 31, just given their jumpsuits, and it looks like they're being attacked by Radroaches. Of course, as we see in Fallout 3, Radroaches for a bunch of Vault dwellers can be a pretty intimidating enemy. And if you know anything about Radroaches, they're actually quite creepy. Then in the next shot of the trailer, we can see Lucy and the ghoul right in front of the Gomorrah, and Cooper shoots something causing an explosion. And if we go to the strip in real life, obviously we can see the Gomorrah for ourselves, and we can see that it's a pretty faithful reconstruction in the TV show, so that's pretty cool. And obviously the lights were on in the TV show, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Now in the very next scene, it is so fast, but we have a Securitron, possibly Victor, shooting his gun at a knight. Perhaps it's Brotherhood of Steel, or perhaps it is Hank. Now my speculation here is this could be connected to the scene we saw earlier with Victor and Cooper. It appears there's some NCR propaganda on the left part of the screen, as you can see. So perhaps there is a shootout with the Brotherhood of Steel, and perhaps Cooper Howard comes out victorious, but obviously that is yet to be seen. Then in the next part of the trailer, we have some kind of vault party going on, perhaps Vault 31, and then we have a Radscorpion, so we will also see Radscorpions this year. The Radscorpion is eating, well, maybe a small, I don't know what it's eating actually, but kind of creepy. But obviously Radscorpions are a very major enemy within Fallout New Vegas and just the Fallout series in general. If you go to the Crescent Canyon, you can find a plethora of these little guys. And the design in the TV show looks awesome. Now in the next scene, we have what I think is two maybe different scenes, and we have to really slow it down to see what happens here. But first, Lucy shoots a ghoulified King's member. Also, you can notice that they're in front of the Tops Casino, so I guess it could be the chairman, but based on a poster that was just released, I'm pretty sure they are King's members. And here we can see the Kings in Freeside, and they just kind of hang out. They're actually quite nice, and I quite enjoy the quest line with the King himself. Obviously, these guys are Elvis impersonators, or they don't really know who Elvis is, but they just think he was cool and they want to impersonate him, so I mean, fair enough. But obviously it appears that something very bad has happened to Freeside and the Kings. Now in the next shot, we're in front of the New Vegas sign. Lucy has this pretty cool shot shooting a bullet, and this is actually just kind of a recreation of the Fallout New Vegas intro, where we have the Ranger shooting his anti-material rifle and killing a fiend. However, it is much longer in the Fallout New Vegas intro, so perhaps we will get a longer version in the TV show featuring Lucy. But obviously, in-game, we can visit the New Vegas sign. It's literally just right in front of Camp McCarran, where we were a little bit earlier in the video. If we go down here by the El Rey Motel, near this car, this is actually where the Fiend gets shot. And if you go here early game, you can actually find the dead Fiend just lying here, which is a pretty freaking cool detail within the game. And then in the last shot of the trailer, we can see everyone's favorite, a Deathclaw. This is the first Deathclaw to be shown in the TV show. And actually, we know where this will happen, because if you look in the background here, we can see the Lucky 38, the little side of the building, and we can also see what appears to be the entrance to the strip. But the Lucky 38 kind of has these diamonds on the side of it, also this kind of like roof that goes or wraps around the entire building. So we know this is on the strip where they encounter the Deathclaw. So obviously the New Vegas Strip is not in a good state, at least compared to when we saw it in the video game, which it'll be interesting to find out what happened to the Strip. And then in the final scene of the trailer, we can see Cooper sliding underneath what I think is probably the gate, the front gate to the Strip. to escape the Deathclaw. So who knows how they're going to deal with it, but I'm sure a Deathclaw would just rip right through that gate, so it might make for a very exciting scene. And funny enough, while I was making this video, or in the process of making it, they actually released 4 posters for the next season. The first poster that I really wanted to discuss was Cooper Howard and what appears to be the Ghoulified Kings members. So that's why I think it's the Kings. They just really have that Elvis aesthetic. In the next poster, we have Lucy with the Legion. So obviously she's gotten herself into some big trouble, especially with the Legion's views on women. And in the next picture, we have Dogmeat with a ton of Radscorpions. That looks very creepy. I think that's the scariest poster. And in the last poster, we have Maximus with his Brotherhood of Steel allies. So 4 pretty cool posters that also kind of give us some hints as to what will happen next season. And that's the end of the trailer and the end of this breakdown. Is there anything that you noticed in the trailer that I didn't mention? Please post it in the comment section below. I'd be really happy to see it. We are very close to seeing the release of Fallout Season 2 in December. I myself am very excited. I know many of you are as well. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. What will happen? Do you think any of my speculation is correct? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, until next time.